Do you think every Toyota engine automatically lasts 300,000 miles or more? No. Many Toyota owners end up with shocking repair bills from problems that started very small. And no, you don't need to be a car expert to avoid them. That's exactly why in this video, I'm going to break down one hidden Toyota issue that starts with a tiny $4 part almost nobody thinks about. When ignored, it can quietly damage your engine and turn a routine oil change into a nightmare. But when installed correctly, it will not only protect your engine, prevent leaks, but also add 100,000 miles to your engine life. Let's begin. Toyota has built its reputation on reliability. People don't buy Toyotas because they are flashy or loud. They buy them because they want a car that starts every morning, drives without drama, and keeps going year after year. It's very common to see Toyotas with 200,000 miles still running smoothly. Some go past 300,000 miles without ever opening the engine. That doesn't happen by chance. Toyota designs engines with tight tolerances. That means parts fit together very precisely. This reduces vibration, lowers internal stress, and helps components wear evenly over time. When everything works as designed, the engine stays quiet, smooth, and efficient. But there is an important trade-off. Tight tolerances mean the engine does not tolerate careless maintenance. Small mistakes don't cause instant failure, but they slowly weaken parts until one day a simple service becomes a serious repair. And one of the most common places where this begins is during oil changes. Every time oil is changed, the oil drain plug is removed and tightened again. This happens over and over throughout the life of the car. On most Toyotas, this plug is a steel bolt threaded into an aluminum oil pan. Steel is hard. Aluminum is lighter and softer. That difference matters a lot. Aluminum threads can handle the correct torque perfectly, but they don't like extra force. When the drain plug is tightened too hard, the aluminum threads stretch. They don't snap right away. Instead, they slowly weaken. On many Toyotas made in the last 10 to 15 years, the drain plug head is smaller than older designs. That smaller head size means tools have less surface area to grip. If the socket isn't seated perfectly or slips slightly, the bolt head can round off. When that happens, people push harder, and that extra force goes straight into the oil pan threads. This is how problems begin quietly. Now, how normal oil changes turn into costly repairs. Most oil changes today are done quickly. That's not always a bad thing, but speed can lead to carelessness. In busy service shops, oil changes are often done by less experienced technicians under time pressure. Common mistakes include tightening the drain bolt too hard, reusing old crush washers, using power tools instead of hand tools, or not aligning the bolt properly before tightening. At first, nothing seems wrong. The oil change is done. The car drives fine. There are no warning lights. Everything feels normal, but the damage doesn't show up immediately. Over time, the aluminum threads weaken. One day, the drain bolt won't tighten properly anymore. Oil begins to seep. The bolt spins without tightening. Suddenly, a simple oil change turns into a stripped oil pan. At that point, the repair is no longer cheap. Depending on the engine, fixing stripped threads can mean thread inserts, oversized repair bolts, or complete oil pan replacement. That can cost hundreds or even thousands, all from one small bolt being tightened incorrectly. The simple upgrade that helps prevent this problem. Here's the good news. Toyota owners can greatly reduce this risk with a very simple upgrade. Using a drain bolt with a slightly larger head makes oil changes safer. That extra head size gives tools a better grip. It reduces slipping. It makes it easier to apply smooth, controlled torque. This doesn't change how the engine works. It doesn't affect oil flow. It doesn't modify the car. It simply gives the person tightening the bolt better control. Think of it like using a larger handle to open a tight jar. You don't need more force. You need better leverage. For people who change their own oil, this makes the job calmer and more predictable. For people who use shops, it adds a layer of protection against rushed work. If you're enjoying this video, Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. This helps me bring you more honest car advice for my Toyota guys. Why does Toyota uses crush washer? Toyota uses crush washers on oil drain bolts for a reason. A crush washer is designed to deform slightly when tightened. That deformation creates a tight seal without needing excessive torque. When a crush washer is new, it does its job perfectly. When it's reused, it doesn't deform the same way again. The seal becomes unreliable. When oil seeps from a reused washer, people often tighten the bolt more to stop the leak. That extra force goes straight into the aluminum threads, not into sealing the washer. This is one of the most common causes of stripped oil pans on Toyotas. Replacing the crush washer at every oil change costs almost nothing, but it protects one of the most expensive parts under the engine. Many people tighten drain bolts by feel. That might work on steel components, but aluminum threads are not forgiving. If the bolt is too loose, oil can leak. If the bolt is too tight, threads stretch and weaken. Once aluminum threads stretch, they never fully recover. Each oil change after that becomes riskier. Toyota provides torque specifications for a reason. Using a torque wrench ensures the bolt is tightened just enough to seal properly without damaging threads. This single habit can add years to the life of the oil pan. Real-world oil levels in Toyota engines. Toyota engines specify exact oil capacities, but real life is not always perfect. Being slightly over the oil level by a small amount usually does not cause harm. What matters far more is using the correct oil viscosity, keeping oil clean, and changing it on time. Toyota engines are designed to tolerate minor variations, but they do not tolerate dirty or broken down oil. Most Toyotas will consume a small amount of oil as they age. This is normal. Checking oil regularly prevents problems long before warning lights appear. Now that you understand how small oil change mistakes can slowly harm a Toyota engine, it's important to talk about what actually happens to the oil itself once the engine is running every day. Modern engines face two common lubrication challenges. One is oil consumption, where small amounts of oil are slowly burned during normal driving. The other is oil dilution, where unburned fuel mixes into the oil, especially during short trips and cold starts. Oil dilution is the bigger problem because it thins the oil and weakens its ability to protect the engine. Thin oil cannot properly cushion bearings, protect timing chains, or prevent wear on cam surfaces. Over time, this silent wear adds up. That's why most experienced mechanics would rather top up oil occasionally than deal with oil that has been weakened by fuel. Regular oil changes help flush out diluted oil and restore proper lubrication, which is especially important for Toyotas that spend a lot of time on short journeys or stop-and-go driving. Once you understand how oil quality affects long-term wear, the next thing that really matters is what happens in the first few seconds after you start your Toyota. After an oil change, the oil filter is empty. When the engine starts, it takes a short moment for oil pressure to build and push oil through the filter and into all the oil passages. During that brief moment, parts like timing chains and chain tensioners are waiting for oil pressure to arrive so they can stay tight and quiet. Without enough pressure right away, those parts can briefly loosen and make a rattling sound. Priming the system helps oil circulate before the engine runs normally, which reduces startup wear and cuts down on noise. On Toyota engines, timing chains rely heavily on oil pressure to operate smoothly. Protecting oil pressure at startup helps protect those chains, and in turn, helps protect the entire engine. With oil pressure and lubrication covered, there's one more common Toyota behavior that often scares owners more than it should, especially when the car hasn't been driven for a few days. If your Toyota sits for several days and makes a brief rattling sound when you start it, it doesn't automatically mean something is broken or about to fail. When a vehicle sits unused, oil slowly drains away from certain engine components, particularly in the upper parts of the engine, where timing chains and valve components are located. On startup, those parts may momentarily lack full oil pressure, which can cause a short rattle or tapping sound. As soon as oil pressure builds and oil reaches those areas, the noise usually disappears. This is why the sound is brief and does not continue while driving. Clean oil. The correct oil viscosity and regular oil changes help oil flow faster at startup and reduce how often this happens. Understanding the difference between normal startup behavior and a real mechanical problem helps Toyota owners stay calm, avoid unnecessary panic, and make better decisions about maintenance instead of rushing into costly repairs that aren't needed. After talking about engine noises and startup behavior, it's also important to clear up another thing that often worries Toyota owners when they open the bonnet and check fluid levels. Toyota cooling systems are very stable and well designed. Over time, it's completely normal for coolant levels to drop slightly, especially in warmer climates or after years of regular driving. Heat causes small amounts of coolant to evaporate from the reservoir, and seasonal temperature changes can also affect the level you see. A slightly low coolant reservoir does not automatically mean there is a serious issue like a head gasket failure. In most cases, simply topping it up with the correct coolant and keeping an eye on it over time is all that's needed. Toyota engines are built to manage heat efficiently, and their cooling systems are designed with safety margins in mind. Staying observant, checking levels occasionally, and avoiding panic help owners make sensible decisions instead of assuming the worst when there is often nothing wrong at all. When you step back and look at everything we've covered so far, a clear pattern starts to appear about why some Toyotas seem to last forever, while others run into trouble much earlier. Toyotas don't last for decades because they are magical or indestructible. They last because small things are done correctly, again and again over the life of the car. Simple habits like replacing the crush washer during every oil change, tightening bolts to the correct torque, instead of guessing using clean oil, and checking fluid levels regularly make a bigger difference than most people realize. None of these habits is expensive, and none of them takes much time. But together they protect the engine every single day it's driven. This attention to small details is exactly why so many Toyota vehicles quietly reach 200,000, 300,000 miles and beyond without major engine repairs. The real lesson for Toyota owners. This video isn't about fear or complex repairs. It's about understanding how small parts protect big systems. A tiny bolt, a simple washer, a careful hand. These details are why some Toyotas last 30 years, while others develop problems much earlier. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to watch this one next, where I'm sharing one basic tip to make your Toyota last forever.